politics. My peers have worked tirelessly this past year, championing topics such as voting rights, criminal justice, immigration, and prison reform. Unfortunately, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we cannot meet in person, but just as the Civic Fellows did not let that stop them from making progress in their respective projects, we will not let it stop us from celebrating each other's work. First and foremost, praise must be given to the Next Generation Politics organization and our leader, Sanda, who has fostered an incredible amount of growth in all of us fellows and instilled the values of civic discourse and seeking truth within all of us. Sanda, none of us would be here without you. Thank you. At this point in time, we all have a desire for life to return back to normal. However, we should strive for something greater. We should strive to create a country and a world where all people are treated equally in the eyes of the law. A country and a world where each person's vote counts the same. A country and a world where young people are given a fighting chance to succeed. A country and a world where we can love and appreciate each other as human beings. I've seen my peers set up voter registration drives, speak to senators, and stand in the front line to fight for justice. Seeing my colleagues put whatever little free time they had towards making progress in their noble causes has given me hope, and it should give you hope too. At the end of these presentations, you will see that as a generation, we are entirely capable of changing the world for the better and are currently working very hard to do so. Thank you so much for spending this beautiful Sunday with us and being receptive to what we have to say. I cannot wait to see the fruits of their labor. First up, you'll be hearing from the Voting Rights Group. Thank you.
So Civic Action Group leaders, be sure to unmute yourself. Talia.
Hi everyone, I'm Talia. I'm one of the leaders of the Voting Rights and Registration Group. We have been working with Brianna Saya to work on issues surrounding voter registration, especially youth voter registration. In the beginning of the year, we were focused on changing the voting age to 16. Our first rooted a bunch of our projects and has made it really hard. We focused on online voter registration, which is what we will be covering today in our presentation.
Next up, freedom of expression.
So me and Alex were the leaders of the Freedom of Expression Civic Action Projects, and we were lucky enough to work with Will Creeley and Bonnie Snyder from the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression organization, or FIRE. And they're an organization that works to make sure that students are being afforded their rights to free expression in public institutions. And our project is centered around a student survey where students would take a survey. It was about 20 questions about how they felt their rights to free expression were being treated in schools, if they thought that they were if that right was being afforded to them properly, or if it was if schools were allowing them to express themselves freely. And with our survey results, we're going to be making an infographic with FIRE that can be accessible through FIRE's website as an online resource for students who go to public and private schools, who can basically just learn about what rights they have to free expression in schools and be more educated on the topic.
Beautiful. Next up, criminal justice.
Hi everyone, my name's Aubriana, and me and Charlotte work together with Lucy Lang and Jarrell Daniels. We are currently working on criminal justice and criminal justice higher education. So our presentation is all about restoring TAP, which is a federal program that allowed prisoners or people who are currently in prison with or without parole, life sentence or not, to receive post-secondary, primary, and secondary education. I hope you guys enjoy.
Our next criminal justice.
Hi, I'm Anna Krantz, and we are the trauma-informed prosecution group, and we had the amazing opportunity to partner with Michelle Mason at the Institute for Innovation and Prosecution. And back in February, we were invited to an incredible roundtable at John Jay College through the IIP, where we got to hear from a bunch of speakers around trauma-informed prosecution. So we decided to create a presentation around this topic and are now developing the TIP project, which is going to be a nonprofit organization. And we're in the works of developing a website. And basically, we believe that trauma is such a broad issue that many, if not most people, are educated on. And we wanted to create a resource that anyone can use and easily learn about. So enjoy.
Thank you. Next up, school to prison pipeline.
So I'm Asher, and our presentation is on the school to prison pipeline. We came up with a multifaceted solution called Bridging the Gap to Safer Schools, which plans to put a social worker in the remaining 44% of New York public schools that don't have access to a social worker, as well as the creation of a peer-to-peer mentorship program between public middle schools and high schools, as well as high schools if there's no middle school in that school district.
Beautiful. And finally, immigration.
Hi, my name is Sarah, and I'm one of the lead fellows for the immigration group. And we worked with our mentor, who was Felipe de la Hoz, who is a reporter and the co-founder of Borders and Lines, which is a sort of an organization that provides information and news about immigration currently. And our project was about spreading more awareness about immigration during these difficult times and immigrant communities who are being affected.
Wonderful.
I think Makeda is going to just add on really quickly.
Perfect.
I'm Makeda, and so with our adult leaders, we kind of reached out to senators and different organizations and different individuals in order to gather interviews so we could get information about what was actually occurring during this time period.
And what we ended up doing with these interviews is, oh, by the way, hello everybody, I'm Mark. I also facilitated the immigration group. So what we did with these interviews is that we compiled them together into a podcast format that we'll be releasing on Spotify as a limited series for our main podcast series of the Roundtable, which you're more than welcome to listen to.
We hope you will, and we'll give you information about that roundtable at the end. Can we just have waving of hands for these incredible civic action projects? That is something that we will use. So based on preferences that you provided, you have been pre-assigned to breakout rooms. But before we go into that, Sarah is going to talk us through some of the guiding principles of these civic action projects, and also a rubric that if you choose to use to structure your feedback, you are welcome to do so. Sarah.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, there's just some guiding questions that we'd like you guys to think about as we go into these presentations and you hear some of the amazing work that me and my peers have done. So in terms of what our proposals are aiming to address and what kinds of policies, practices, laws, or societal factors contribute to this problem. And then how do you think we're proposing those meaningful, how do you think we're addressing those issues and proposing potential means of achieving change and improving the current situation, and how we will tangibly kind of bring those impacts around. We'd like you to really consider our proposals, as well as the rubric that we're going to give you. So it's an optional rubric that you'll be able to fill out if you would like. And the three sort of broad categories we ask you to think about is, you know, how much knowledge do we provide? How urgent is the issue? Why should we care about this issue? The second thing is how we presented, the power of the presentation, the effectiveness of our approach. And the third thing we'd like you to consider is how likely do you feel our project is in making a positive impact on the issue? So we'll be providing that rubric, and you could just rate each question on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being most effective, and add your own additional commentary. And it would really be helpful for us to know how our presentation came across to you guys and what we can do to improve them. So thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. Any questions before we begin our breakout groups? Okay, we're going to go to breakout rooms. For any, I suspect that many of you have done breakout rooms. You will get a little message inviting you to the breakout room, and you will go there. Some of you will still be in this room with me being assigned. So leaders, room facilitators, give a minute for people to come in. When you get into the room, we do encourage you to mute yourself if you're not the presenter, but to put into the chat who you are so that everyone can know who's there. We'll have about 35 minutes for this section. Then there will be, you have an option. It will be a break, a 10-minute break. We also encourage you to do whatever you need to do. We know that 2 hours can be a long time, so please feel free to excuse yourself as you need to, but try to stay through the presentation. And we'll have a 10-minute break, but we'll also have a Civic Kahoot, which will be pretty amazing, honestly, and we do have prizes. So if you don't need a break, please stay for that Civic Kahoot from about 2:50 to 3 o'clock. Then we'll go into another round of presentations, also for about 35 minutes, and then we'll come back together as a group for calls to action and commitments based on what you've heard today and what's on your mind. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy your first breakout.